Men's Forum wants you to master men's blueprint for life. Learn how to build wealth, build quality relationships with the right people, lead a better and healthier family life, live your full potential, inspire the world. Men were born to lead, keep, and protect the family. Join Men's Forum and master your blueprint for life. Men's Forum, all you need to become a better man.
Keeping positive in a challenging global environment can be very difficult. But today we have a subject matter expert in our studio that will talk to us about why it is important to remain positive even in tough situations. And Chris will talk to us about that, but you will also get some tips in terms of how to remain a positive, how to own a positive posture as a male, as a man in life. Today, you will also learn about the Men's Forum. You will also learn about the family forums and what you need to do to be a part of these communities that Chris and we are creating. A large part of what this platform is designed to do is to help you to become a better man and to also position you to build wealth. I must also give an introduction about Chris also. Chris is, first of all, he has years of experience in the construction industry, and he's a certified life coach and personal development coach. And he's soon to be an author of this book that is right in front of you, Becoming a Better Man. Chris, welcome. It's always such a pleasure to be talking with you on this platform. And today we want to look at things that around what it takes, to master positive mindset and win in life. What are your thoughts on this subject, particularly when we're talking to men?
Yeah, I believe the struggle is real for most men out there, right? And it starts with many things. A lot of it's upbringing, a lot of it's social media and news and everything else, right? There is negativity all around us. So if you don't have tools to build your own positive mindset on a daily basis, then you can't combat all the negative that is constantly thrown at you everywhere you look, and I struggled with that for 40 years of my life. I knew I wanted to be different. I knew I wanted to be better. I walked around thinking, like we talked about before, that, why should I try? I'm going to fail anyway, and when you live that life, it's a daily thing. When you don't walk out of the front door feeling like you can crush it today, then you failed already. And
you're perfectly correct.
Yeah. The positive mindset, it comes from the inside. You have to, it's nice to have a supportive wife. It's nice to have people that believe in you, but that belief starts inside. If you don't believe in yourself, then there's no way you'll succeed.
You're perfectly correct with that, Chris. And what I want to do, I want to direct the audience attention to your banner, the banner that is called Men's Forum. And I just want to help them to understand some of the important takeaway that they will learn from this forum. The title of this forum is Time to Build Wealth, and the time is now. But some of the important things that men will take away from this program, which is what you were talking about here, is how to master your sense of self. And you've just said it. To believe that any attempt to own your positive space, to maintain that positive frame of mind, having a strong sense of self is very important. I know we're not going to give them all the tools now, but I want to say to the public, get registered for the Men's Forum. Right now, it's a free program. It's a free platform. You can use the QR code that is shown at the bottom of this banner, and you can get registered. And Chris will walk you through a step-by-step road, really helping you to understand how to master your sense of self. But that's not all. Chris will talk to you about how to master your sense of purpose. Because if you're in life and you don't have a sense of purpose, you're going to feel empty at times. You're going to feel misdirected at times. But when you have that purpose and you can position yourself to live that purpose-driven life, there is where the magic is going to take place. And Chris has years of experience in this particular field, mentoring and coaching and talking with persons, talking with men, and to help them to elevate. And last but not least, with the Men's Forum, you will also learn about how to master a strong sense of direction. You see, when you combine these three things, a sense of self, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, as a male, magic begins to happen because you are now in control of your life. You are now in control of your destiny. You are now setting the goals, and you are now pushing yourself forward to achieve those goals. And I know, Chris, I'm going to come alongside you, and I'm going to talk a whole lot about wealth creation for men, because I do believe that men really need to know how to build wealth, But Chris, can you talk to us some more about why having a positive mindset is so important, and what can go wrong if you don't have that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everything that I teach and then I guide men through is my own life experience, right? Like, I was that struggling guy. I was that guy who walked through life finding my worth through other people. And what that causes a host of issues: the imposter syndrome, the unworthiness, the insecurity, the fear of failure. There's a host of issues that is caused by not seeing your own worth when you look in the mirror. And what that does is, like you're talking about building wealth, it takes calculated risks to build wealth. But if you're not confident in yourself, if you're not confident in your knowledge, if you're not confident in the moves that you make, then you can't build wealth, right? And it's the same. You can't be a great father if you're not confident in your abilities to be a father. And confidence and positivity affects every single thing that you do on a daily basis. And there are millions of men that are walking around out there just trying to get by, and they have no clue how to be better. I know I did it. I did it for 42 years. I made decent money. I paid the bills. I fed my kids. I did all those things. I didn't know how to be a good dad. I didn't know how to be a good husband. I didn't know how to build wealth. I didn't know how to be a great leader. I didn't know how to be a good employee. I didn't know any of those things, because every day when I walked out of the door, I was waiting for that curveball to hit me in the face and crush me.
Yeah, Chris, I really like your honesty and openness. And I do believe that we have millions of men around the world who are going through similar struggle. And many persons men struggle in silence, and they don't have a mentor. They don't have a coach. They don't have a sponsor. They're not part of a supportive community that can really help them to navigate the realities of being male, born male, born with that gift, the responsibility of being a good father, a good, spouse. And I'm really happy again that you have leveraged your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom, and you have a number of signature projects that you're now about to introduce to the public. You have the Men's Forum, you have the book Becoming a Better Man that is going to be, it's in the progress, it's in the pipeline. Public will know more about that soon. But you also have the Family Forum 2025. And again, what I love about the Family Forum, it really helps men to understand how to be anchored, not only in themselves, but as you talk about being a good parent and being a good spouse, it helps the male to understand how to be a man of wisdom, a man of knowledge, a man that understands how to position the family for success. And some of the things that I'm seeing that the banner is talking about is proactive leadership and the family. And what I take away from proactive leadership and the family, Chris, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, is that in starting a family, you want to have a clear idea as to the outcomes that you want in starting that family. If not, the possibility exists that you can be jumping in deep water. You can be jumping in shark infested waters, and when the negative things happen, then it's when the positive mindset kicks in. And I think that having a positive mindset means, again, you're in control. And you're doing everything that you can do to be in control. And part of being in control is being proactive. It's thinking ahead of what you want to accomplish, why and how. And what are your thoughts on that, Chris? And do you think men are as proactive as they ought to be? Do you think that they have mentorship? Do you think they have the coaching? No, I agree.
And you're 100% correct. And the reason is because we aren't taught as children. Like we literally, from the beginning of our life, men are taught, be the provider, suck it up, be a man. But nobody tells us how to be vulnerable. Nobody tells us how to love ourselves. Nobody tells us how to figure out action steps to get to the point that we want to get to. We do exactly what you were just talking about. We get married without without a clue about how to be a husband.
Yeah.
We have children with no clue on how to be a father. And there's not a manual that comes out. You know, we talked about this before. When you buy a new car, you get that, you know, that paperback manual in the glove box. And if you don't understand the car, then you can just open up the manual and figure it out. Well, kids don't come with one. So the reason that we're not trained properly as kids is because our fathers weren't trained properly.
So they couldn't pass that knowledge down.
They don't know how to teach us those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they, you know, they got a kid, they have no clue what they're doing, they do the best they can. And then we do the same thing. And that creates that generational effect to where men are becoming fathers with no clue on what the heck they're doing.
You know,
so
and
if we can start getting men to know how to teach their sons to be better men at a young age, then we will impact the entire world.
You know, that again, Chris, is very profound. You know, and there is a manual to driving a car. There's a manual to operating every electrical item in your house, but most men don't have a manual for life. Most people don't have a manual for life. Again, what I like about Men's Forum and Family Forum and the book that it's in the making is that right here on screen, as I look at this banner, the second item from the top, it says master your personal life blueprint, which means that you're giving people a blueprint for life. They now have to learn how to master that. So I think moving forward, men cannot say there is not a blueprint, there is not a manual, because you have taken your experience as a successful entrepreneur, as a successful coach. You have taken years of things that works and doesn't work, and you have amplified the things that work, and you're now packaged that into the Men's Forum. You have now packaged that into the Family Forum. You have now packaged that into the new book, and you're giving men a lifeline that they can build on, they can use as a springboard to become a better man. How important is having a blueprint for life? I mean, from your perspective, Chris, how important is having that blueprint?
It's important with anything, right? Like, you know, I've been in construction all my life. You've been involved in it. You don't go start building a building without a blueprint, right? That's
no,
the
you
first
can't.
thing. Yeah, that's the first thing you do is hire an architect and get some drawings made up, right? And then your engineer approves those drawings, and all that is done before you start digging a hole. So for some reason, we start life without a blueprint, and then we're just told to figure it out along the way. So that would be like somebody going and trying to pour a concrete slab and trying to learn how to do it while they're doing it. It doesn't happen. So the problem is that we need to change is we have, as we're growing up, we have advice from people that don't have a blueprint. We're getting bad advice from day one, and it's not their fault. They don't know any better. They're trying to help us. You know, my dad taught me everything I know about construction, right? He's a wonderful man. God rest his soul, right? I love him to death, but he only could teach me what he knew, right? And he didn't know the emotional side of things. He did the same thing that I ended up doing in adulthood. It's like, I thought that, you know, my job was to go out and make money, and that would make everything okay. What I didn't realize is that it all starts with self-love. If I don't love myself, no one else can love me.
Chris, we're going to go deep into that. And I just want to reflect on something else here, Chris. How funny is this? I mean, how funny is this? That to build a house, you need to have that, you know, your builder's plan drawing, call it your blueprint. You know, to drive a car, you have the manual. To operate the phone, you know, the simple phone, there's a manual as to how to operate the phone. But what I find to be strange, Chris, is that the most precious asset in the universe, human being, they don't live by any blueprint. The majority of people, they don't live by that blueprint.
It's ridiculous, right? When you think about it in logical terms like that, it's completely ridiculous, right? We wouldn't do anything else without proper knowledge, right? But the most complicated thing that we deal with on a daily basis is life itself. And we just kind of flounder around and try to figure it out.
You're right. And Chris, I want to say this. And I had the opportunity to have a sneak preview into the book. I know last week we spoke about trauma. And one of the things that I know the book will talk about is how trauma creates the present social conditioning that
Mm-hmm.
many men are exposed to. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And the beauty that I like about your book is that it speaks about multiple different types of trauma. It looks at
Mm-hmm.
it from a historical standpoint because we can look at indentured
Mm-hmm.
servants. We can go back to slavery and we can see how those social conditioning then, because it was programmed into for parents, it was handed down. All right. There are other types of social conditioning, family, dysfunctional.
Yeah.
A dysfunctional family create trauma for that child, and dysfunctional could simply means that it's not the healthiest environment to nurture the best leaders in the world. And I do believe that an essential part of your focus,
Mm-hmm.
Chris, and what we are looking at here is how can we help men to be better men? Because I'm saying men because I do believe that men, strong men, better men, makes the wife happy,
Mm-hmm.
inspire the kids to be the best version of
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And just think about this, Chris. You have men, they have a blueprint for life, they have a game plan for life, and they're working that plan. And the children now are being exposed to the quality leadership that they should be exposed
Mm-hmm.
to go out into the world to become better people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what your platform is all about, Chris. It's about helping men to be better to themselves and to be better to their spouse and their children and to just show up in the world as better people. Am I wrong with this?
No, you're 100% correct. That was the whole reason why I got into this in the first place, right? I don't blame my parents for anything. I made my own bed, I laid in it, all those things, right? But what I realized when I started doing my own personal transformation was that I never had any guidance on how to live the right way, on how to be a leader for my family, right? Like a man's job is to be the leader. That doesn't, especially in today's world, doesn't always mean financially, because there's tons of independent women out there that make their own money and those kinds of things, right? But a leader is the one that leads by example, right? So if you're not a great leader, if you're not a great man, if you're not somebody that has a positive mindset and that can overcome and adapt any situation, how can you teach your children how to be that?
Exactly. You're right. I could recall as I started to step into fatherhood,
Mm-hmm.
I was given a beautiful, upbringing by my dad and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my mom is my angel, and my daddy's a strong male figure. But I still had wanted to do more. And I
Mm-hmm.
keep asking myself, as I begin to be a parent, how can I do more? I
Yeah.
wanted to 10x what my dad did. For me, and so my kids could be in a much better place. And I'm happy to say that I've achieved all of that. I think a large part of achieving that is mastering the process of thinking ahead. In the men's forum, I know you're going to be talking a lot about that, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people wait until their backs are against the wall and then they start thinking. And I think a good leader, a strong male figure, you don't wait until your backs are against the wall and then you start saying, I wish I'd known. You think about everything that you should be thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you develop that blueprint and then you work it like your life depends on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the banner here, becoming a better leader, and three things I see stand out here. Master the process of thinking ahead,
Mm-hmm.
master the process of seeing beyond problems, because
Mm-hmm.
what I've learned, Chris, is that in life you have challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And challenges can beat you down.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Challenges can push you out of the race. I've seen it push so many people out of the race because they get stuck in the problem zone.
Mm-hmm.
And something I would say to my kids, problems is a natural part of life. And you have to know how to embrace it. The reason you want to embrace it, you want to learn as much as you can learn from it and figure shit out, figure things out. And the last thing that we talk about here is that I see the banner speaks about is master the process of informed action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having a positive mindset, Chris, all three of these things is relevant. You want to think ahead. You want to see beyond the problem. The only reason you're going to have a negative mindset is because perhaps you're thinking ahead, but then you're not seeing beyond the problems. As you think ahead, you see the problem. The problem, I want to be rich, I want to be successful, I want to make great things happen. You know you want to achieve that, but how do you get beyond the problem zone? And many persons, as men, as people, they don't know how to go beyond that. So the third part that I know the book will talk about, and I know you will talk about when people come into the business, to Men's Forum, is also going to help them to understand how to master the process of informed action. Informed action, I think, is different than taking action, Chris. Informed action is about people connected with mentor like yourself. All right. You have experience in construction. So if I want to do construction, all right, to position my family to build wealth, or any man want to do construction to position their family to build wealth, you are one of the person that have knowledge. You're informed, so you can help them to take informed action. You have experience as a coach. You have experience in life, and that ties back to what you said earlier. There are many people don't have a blueprint for life, but they're given advice. All right. You have a blueprint for all of these things that you have done, and you have now packaged these things to give people your blueprint, your successful process to position them to be successful in every aspect of their life. As a male, you want them to be strong. So informed action, I think, is about getting a mentor, it's about getting a coach, it's about getting a sponsor, it's about getting a supportive community that can say, hey, we've been there, we've done that, we know how this thing is done, and we're going to help you to make it happen. And I do believe that the synergies that we have is all about helping people to not get stuck in that problem zone. Help people to push beyond that problem zone. And helping people to really understand the importance of relationship. Chris, what are some other tips that you would give people in terms of owning and mastering a positive mindset? Because sometimes what you hear, Chris, is that it's easier said than done.
It is. It is. I mean, there's no sugarcoating that. It does take some work, I don't want to sit here and say, just join the forum and you'll be the best man you can be in 2 weeks, because it doesn't work like that. But what this forum will provide is some tips that will show you how to figure out the action steps that you need to take on a daily basis. And the problem with most men is we're taught to be providers. So we worry about everybody else. We got everybody leaning on us at work. We got the kids leaning on us. We got the wife leaning on us, right? So we work on all of that stuff. And what we don't realize is that you have to be first, right? You have to do the work on yourself, because your wife can be good, your kids can be good, they can all be happy, but you cannot be the best father. You cannot be the best husband unless you are the best on the inside. And I got that part wrong for 40 plus years. I always worried about everybody else's needs and never worried about my own. And then I realized at some point when I hit my rock bottom that I got to my rock bottom because I was doing everything the wrong way. There were certain steps that I had to take on a daily basis to get Chris where Chris needed to be. Right. Yeah. And then all of a sudden my marriage got better by itself. Right. I became a better father by itself. Like those other things start working out on their own because you're the person that you need to be. We always have this lack of compassion and lack of self-care for ourselves. But what we don't understand is that's the answer. That's the blueprint. When you're good on the inside and when you know that you can go out and crush it every day and you believe in yourself that you can be the best father and the best husband and the best leader, everything else just starts falling in place. It's crazy how it works, man.
Yeah, and Chris, you're correct. And I just want to join you in saying a couple of things. I do believe that there are some essential social skills that men need to learn, apply, and master. All right. And I see that it is necessary in every aspect of our our lives, communication skills.
Yeah.
All right. And I have seen that. I've taken a preview at the book. The book is looking at, effective communication skills, how to communicate with your kids, how to communicate with your wife, how to build out healthy relationships. I do believe again that as men, that element of the manual is missing. How to become master communicators.
Yeah. And it manifests itself mostly in your most intimate relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like I was married for a long time. I had no idea how to set healthy boundaries. I had no idea how to control expectations. I had no idea how to communicate properly with my own wife because I didn't know how to be vulnerable enough to tell her what was going on. So that lack of vulnerability, that fear of embarrassment, that fear of not being enough in her eyes made it to where I couldn't open up to her and be who I really was. So essentially, I'm trying to get her to marry this person and love this person, and I'm not even that guy. And there are millions of men out there to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're trying to create this fake persona of themselves because they think that that's what they have to be to, be successful in that relationship or successful in that job or successful in the child raising relationship, right? What they don't realize is that the only way you're going to be successful is if you're your true self.
Yeah.
People respect real. People love real. And if we go through our life being fake and trying to be somebody that we're not, then you'll never achieve real love.
Yeah. Chris, one of the greatest challenge with what you're saying there is that most people don't know how to be themselves.
They don't.
They don't. I can tell you a story. I can recall I was about 14, 15, and I was I grew up in the church, and I was baptized on this particular day, and the pastor then said to me, "Gary, your life has greater meaning now." And hearing that, I was completely lost. Your life now has greater meaning. I said, "What all of that means?" That was like a floodgate of questions that just started to open up there that I just didn't know how to respond to that. Yeah. But fortunately, I have a very inquisitive mind, and I began to do deep diving. And a couple of things was revealed to me that sometimes in life you gotta figure stuff out for yourself.
Yeah.
All right. You gotta give things meaning, because if you don't give your life meaning, the possibility that everything and every one around you is going to be trying to shape you and mold you into an image that you truly don't represent. So you got to make tough decisions for yourself.
You do.
And I'm certain that the men's forum will be going into all of these things to really help men to master what you're talking about, their sense of self, and to take full ownership of that, and to become the author and the maker of who they are.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to share before I open up to you, Chris. We were talking about, the importance of communicating. And in my life, I've had to found many creative ways to communicate and build bond and relationship. I think being present is good, but it's not enough.
No.
Being present is good, but it's not enough. With my kids, one of the things that I did for us to bond, we pick a sport, and all of us went into that sport. And guess what? The sport that we choose to do is Shotokan martial arts. And all of us, we have black belts in Shotokan. So guess what? That is years of bonding and together with them on that. And they now see, hey, there's tremendous possibility now that you have this, what you can do. And these are some of the strategies that I know, Chris, we're going to be sharing with parents. We're going to be sharing with families as to how to create that bond, because being present is not enough.
No, it's not.
Yes, it's important, but it's not enough. And some of these techniques, they will learn how to use it in spousal relationships, how to do all of that.
Yeah. And that is exactly, why we created this platform, right? Is, the first problem is that most men from teenager age, we are trying to be somebody else for whatever the situation is, right? we're trying to be the jock, or then we're trying to be everybody's friend because of peer pressure and all those kinds of things, right? So we grow up not even knowing who we really are, and I found myself at 42 years old trying to get sober, and I had no clue who I was. I knew who my wife thought I was. I knew who my children thought I was. I knew who my boss thought I was. But none of those three characters were me.
So you're actually life and blood of this book, becoming a better man, because you have been through it all, and today you are a better man.
One of those things, right, where we go through life like it's a movie, and we got to play all these different characters. When really the only key to a true successful and happy life is to play one character, and it's not even a character, it's your true self. But the problem is most of us don't know who we are. We don't even know who we want to be, right?
Exactly.
We might have started out when we were children and we had these dreams, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a baseball player, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? But then life creates circumstances where those dreams are not obtainable. So then we settle, right? We settle into a relationship, we settle into a job, we settle into this, we settle into that. And the problem is that we get so focused on playing those characters to settle in those situations that we no longer dream of being everything that we can be. And so I was sitting there at 42 years old faced with, who do I really want to be? What do I really want to do? Yeah, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this. But what do I really want? What am I willing to work on harder than I ever have in my life to become? And once you figure that out, that's called your true purpose. Once you figure out that no matter what it takes, this is who I want to be, this is the real me, then you can take the tips from the forum and start building action steps and do what it takes to become that person. But we have millions of men out there that are walking around and they don't have a clue who that person is.
Chris, you're right. And this topic will come up a lot in the men's forum. Remember early on we talked about mastering informed action. I do believe that every male, you need a strong mentor.
Without a doubt.
Coach, you need a sponsor. You need to be a part of a supportive community. Now, what I want to say, the possibility exists that you may not have a dad to mentor and coach you. But what I'm happy about, Chris, is that they now have the men's forum. All right, because I do believe even young people, young men, can be part of this community, this growing community. They're going to help them to understand how to be a better man, how to be a great leader, how to take informed action, how to think ahead, how to position yourself to build wealth. And Chris, what I like is that we are not giving people a theory. We're giving people proven facts, because you have history again in construction. You have positioned yourself to be financially independent. You have history and experience as a coach, and you are now sharing that knowledge with the world. I myself, I have tremendous experience in business and tremendous experience in as a real estate developer and managing real estate. And as a man, I can tell you, it does give you a tremendous sense of security, knowing that you are not only secure, but you have the type of security for your spouse and for your kids. And this is the kind of information that we're going to be sharing with men, because as you said, we have millions of men going through their own challenges. They're struggling in silence because they don't have a mentor, they don't have a coach, they don't have a sponsor, they don't have a supportive community. But with the men's forum, they should not complain, because all of that has been packed and packaged into this to really help them to understand how to make this thing happen. And Chris, I want to go one step further, right? Because when ambitious men come into this program and they want to start business and they want to know how to invest and they need capital to move the vision forward, Chris, guess what? We're equipped to do all of that for them. Excuse should be completely out of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Just come with that will to want to be successful,
Yeah.
and Chris and I will do everything to ensure
Oh, yeah.
that you win. All right. Chris is the mastermind. He understands life. He understands. He's going to be bringing out this book very soon. I'm the person that's going to be teaching you business when necessary. And I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know about money and how to position yourself to build wealth. Chris, any last thoughts you want to share in closing on positive thinking?
Yeah, when you were talking, this one thought stuck in my head. There's that old saying, if I knew back then what I know now, right? And the problem is that we're not teaching our kids what we know now. We're so wrapped up in life, and we're so wrapped up in providing, right, that we are allowing our children to walk into the real world completely uneducated on what the real world is.
Yeah.
And because we do that, then it just creates what I like to call a generational curse, right? And you always hear people say is, I didn't want to, but I became my father. Right. Well, you had no choice because you're doing the same thing your father did.
If that's in a positive sense, you don't mind, but it's in a negative sense.
But it's like there's always going to be negative, right? There's never going to be completely positive. But now that I know these things, my number one goal is to make sure that my son is prepared, right? That my son knows how to be vulnerable. He knows how to take advice. He knows how to use me as a real mentor, as a real leader. He has this blueprint that's going to be in this forum and in this book.
Yeah.
Most of us, we don't have those things, and then we're just lost trying to figure it all out. If we would teach this stuff in school, kids would be a lot better off. Do you think that they separate the girls and the boys and they teach them how to deal with emotional conflict and unworthiness and imposter syndrome? No, there is no classes about that stuff, right? There should be, because to me, that's as equally as important as learning arithmetic and history and English. And we teach people how to be educated and get a job.
Yeah.
We don't teach them how to be better people.
You're correct. What I like about the book too, Chris, is that the book is talking about all of that. I know the book goes into things like not only how to earn, but it tells you how to put money to work for you. So
yeah, and that's the biggest part that I like about you and I partnering together, right? Is that me, I'm an inside guy, right? Like, I can, just by trial and error, I've been through everything, and I can help men everywhere figure out the inside.
Yeah.
But once you do that, then it is time to take some risk and make those calculated risk and make the right investments. Because we talked about before on another episode, one income stream doesn't cut it anymore. So what you can provide as far as teaching them how to build wealth and create passive income through different income streams and stuff like that is a complete necessity in this day and age, man.
Yeah, it is. The single source of income that our parents and foreparents was able to survive on. In today's massive economic shift, it's not possible.
Yeah, and that's what I love about what we're doing, right? Is we're teaching all of that. We're not just, I'm gonna help you feel better. I'm going to help you love yourself, and then I'm going to throw you back out in the world and figure out the rest yourself. This is going to teach you everything you need to know to live the life that you truly want to live.
Good. I love that what you said there, Chris. This is not just motivation. This is a push, a kick in the right direction.
Yeah. You get all those motivational speakers, go get them, one for the Gipper, all that stuff. That's not what this is, right? Like I literally want to prepare men and families live a truly happy, prosperous life. And the only way to do that is to cover all the bases.
Beautiful. Love that. I think that people were born to be great. As I said early on, I do believe people are the greatest asset that the world has ever known and will ever know. But people have to be pointed in the right direction to find the diamonds, the rubies, the pearl, the gem from within, and refine that and then bring it out to the world. And there's where the magic is going to take place. And Chris Chris, I know where your heart is at. I know how much you care about people and you want people to see people embrace a better quality of life. And I'm excited to be walking this journey with you and to truly, touch people's lives, transform people's lives, and impact people's lives with what I call success formulas. It's not just a theory, it's practical steps that we can help people with and to grow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
I think in
Chris.
closing, in closing, it's I believe that we're all put on this earth to serve, right? And somewhere along the line, we lost that. We don't serve each other. And I love the fact that I'm a big believer in God works through other people. And he waited until I did everything I needed to do to become who I am. And you did everything that you needed to do to become who you are now. And then he put us together to do this.
He got a funny way how he does things, right?
I know, right? But what I realized when I got involved in this, if I wouldn't have struggled for all them years,
you would not have been refined for this right now.
I wouldn't have been ready to do this, right? Like I can come to any man in any situation and come to him from experience because I've walked through that fire. So in order to have that experience, I had to go through all that crap. You had to go through all the education and all the trial and error and the success and the failures in business and all the stuff that you've done so that you can teach other men who to get where you're at.
You got it.
Right?
You got it.
And then when we were both ready, he put us together so that we can help others and impact their lives. That's what I truly
got it. Chris is always, so great talking with you. I like the flow. I like the energy. And what I love even more is that what we are doing is way beyond us. We are in the mind of service. We're in an attitude of service. And I think in giving service is where we get to also fulfill our true purpose for life and for living.
Yeah, without a doubt. Money's a great tool and you need to learn to make it work for you and all those things, right? But I am happier now than I've ever been in my life because I found my true purpose and I serve others every day. The longer men are involved in this thing, they will realize that all the other things don't provide true fulfillment. You get fulfillment from serving others.
Exactly.
Okay? And the money's great. I want you to have a ton of money. Inflation and everything, you have to have a ton of money now, right? But when you find that true fulfillment, I used to, I've listened to Buddhist monks and all kind of stuff, and their fulfillment this and their philosophy is this, and they can live with no money and all that, right? Like true fulfillment is waking up every day and being selfless and helping others.
Exactly. So in closing, Chris, I want to say, to the public, get registered for the Men's Forum. Just scan that QR code that is at the bottom of this banner. Scan the QR code and get registered. Right now, it's a free program. This program can cost you thousands of dollars, but it's free to you. But myself and Chris will sponsor you, and we will pay for this program for you. For families, you have the Family Forum. My best advice, don't wait until you are going to start the family and start thinking about it. We believe that young people, at high school should start to understand what it takes to, live and lead a healthy family life.
Yeah. And on the Family Forum, the main thing that I've been getting some feedback on promoting this is that everybody thinks that that's still for men to learn how to build a family. This is for the entire family.
Yeah.
We created this so that women know how to be a supportive spouse. They know the right tools to help men get out of their struggles. Children can benefit from this by learning how to build a relationship before they ever start building one.
Exactly.
And so this was created for the entire family, and we made it free as well just for that, because my goal ultimately is to fix men all over the world. Right. But my ultimate goal is to provide a blueprint to where all generational families have this blueprint to where men don't need to be fixed anymore.
You got it. You're right, Chris. You're so right. Everything that you've said above, it's so on point.
Mhm.
Family forum is for the entire family.
Mhm.
All right. And as we said last week, I think when you drop that little seed, that little pebble, to help the family to be stronger, we are building stronger communities,
Yeah.
stronger country, and a better
And
world.
yeah, and in closing, man, like I said, a lot of that comes from my own past experience. I had two daughters and a wife, and I was struggling big time. And they loved me and they wanted to help me, but they had no clue how to do it.
You're right. And what I want to add there on Family Forum, when they scan this banner, they will see things like group economics. What is group economics?
Yeah.
Things that we will talk about there is how families can come together
Mm-hmm.
and position themselves to make some massive financial breakthrough. Some of the things that we see is that when a person, a male or female, struggling
Mm-hmm.
to get, let us say, a deposit
Mm-hmm.
to buy a property, they
Oh
struggle
yeah,
in this
without a
process
doubt.
for many years. But
That's what I
guess,
love. That's what I love about where you come in, right? Is
yeah,
there are so many opportunities. We all say we want to set our kids up, we want to help our children, right? But we don't know how. There
we
is
don't,
tons of
yeah. Mhm.
opportunities in real estate and Roth IRAs and tons of stuff that most of us are clueless about. And that's where you come in.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that it took big money to do those things,
Hmm.
right? It
Hmm.
doesn't. Like
Hmm.
you can start a Roth IRA for your kid at 5 years old, and by the time he's ready, that'll pay for college and buy him a house.
You're right,
You know,
Chris.
but we don't know about those things. That's why I love what you bring to the table. Is we can teach them, that it doesn't take $1 million to grow wealth. You just have to know how to do it.
Yeah, people just need to understand financial
Yeah.
instruments,
Mhm.
and people can, they can learn about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds
Mhm.
and hedge funds, private equity. But there's
Yeah.
some simple things, that they
Mhm.
can learn. I mean, what about trade lines?
Mhm.
What about, leveraging, credit?
Mhm.
And I'm saying here, their persons can get leverage their FICO score. They
Mhm.
can, set up a business. They can leverage their PAYDEX score, and they
Mhm.
can position all of that
Mhm.
to now access capital. Not capital that you're going to be using as a liability. You're going to be using capital now as income producing asset.
Mhm.
So if you're going to be taking capital to put it into a property, that property in of itself is going to be taking care of itself by paying its PITI, principal and insurance, tax and insurance, and it's going to put money in your pocket.
Yeah.
These are things that families will learn. We want to share with families, so they don't have to struggle.
Mhm.
We have been through some of that struggle, Chris, and I'm happy that two great minds has come together to provide this type of information to the public.
Mhm.
Chris, great talking with you, and we do this again next week. Okay, my brother.
Family Forum, for a new generation of people. Learn smart ways to build individual and generational wealth. Live and lead more purpose-driven lives. Build and leverage community leadership. Build strong personal and corporate brands. Take personal and collective ownership of family life. Family Forum, for a new generation of families.